Hey, hello, Dr. James.
Good morning.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay. We're getting ready here. And we got a problem here.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for joining us. My name is Now we're presenting a structure. This scene.
So, Dr. James, we're going to have a presentation from the students, and then the panelists will come on afterwards, probably about 10:45. Got some over. Do you hear me okay, Dr. James?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Your sound quality is excellent. So let me just review the program with you. The students are going to have a 5-part presentation, introduction, 4 sections. There'll be a video, and from there we'll queue up the panel. There's going to be 2 panels. I'm asking you to be on the first panel. So I'll be queuing people for the presentation as we move forward. You can use that chat if there's any kind of comments, and I'm controlling which cameras are on. Let's see if that helps with the echo. Yeah.
Yeah. You have 2 mics close together, so you
Right.
have feedback.
Hello, Norma. How are you?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you, Norma, but your camera is off. Is that?
I had it off for a little while. I walked away. Hold on.
There we go. All right. So we're going to do 2 panels with about 4 or 5 people on each one. And both Dr. James and Norma, you're in the first panel together with, let's see if the other folks come on. Kendrick James, who's the assistant to the president for the Navajo Nation. Dr. Mark Sorensen, who's the director of the Star School, one of the places that we were visiting. And Rachel Villalobos, who's on the board of Academia Avance. So that'll be the first panel. I'll ask you guys to ask 1 or 2 questions. We'll prompt you, and then we'll pull you guys off. I'll ask you to, after the panel, to log off from this session because I have a limited number of folks. And that's why we have the 2 panels. So once you log, you'll still be able to see it via the YouTube stream if you want to keep following it. And it just opens up the space for the other panelists to come on. So after you're on the panel, we'll just log off from StreamYard, and then we'll have it on YouTube. It's also recorded so that you can share it with other folks later. Okay, so we're going to start in 4 minutes. If you can have Madison and this group ready.
Okay. Intro team. Really? let's get ready. Let's get ready, get in order, and then we will look at that. Hey,
So Dr. James, Norma, I'm going to pull you off from the stream, but you're still in the session.
All right.
And it's best if you guys keep yourselves unmuted on your side. I can control the mute on my side.
Yeah.
Unmute.
Yeah, just keep yourself unmuted, and then I'll mute or unmute you on this side. Yeah. So, like for example, Norma, you should unmute yourself.
Okay.
Alright guys, so what we're gonna do is, you know the order we had?
And same thing here for Dr. James. If you can unmute it on your side, and I'll control the mute.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then when it's your turn to speak, just come up, come to the front, we see that black line, then stand in front of it. And then after that we did go to the front side, yeah. After that we did the G. You go to the other one to watch the string.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Madison. I will be your host for today. Our presentation will now begin. I hope you guys all enjoy.
Hi. Thank you for joining us. My name is Vanessa.
My name is Rudy.
My name is Vicente.
My name is Milton.
My name is Andrea.
My name is Daniel.
My name is Evangelina. And my name is Daniela. And now we will present to you a short film. Hello and good morning. This scene is a perfect example of how more than half of people live their everyday life. Majority of society doesn't even realize where these sources come from. In this video, the main character, the waster, uses an unnecessary amount of energy without any regards. This needs to stop. Not necessarily the use of energy, since that is unattainable, but rather the ignorance of how and who is affected. Have you ever wondered where and how all this energy comes to our homes every day? Let us tell you, it's not as simple as turning off a faucet or flipping a switch.
There is a multitude of ways people have been able to create energy. The one we will be talking about today is coal-made energy.
Coal-made energy is made with two things: coal and water. First, they get the coal from the turbines, and then they wash it. And then with the washed coal, they heat it up, and then steam is produced. After, the steam goes into a turbine, which produces electricity. Lastly, the electricity is sent out to California, Nevada, and Arizona.
We are from Los Angeles, California. We got the opportunity to learn about other cultures through our KidsBridge program. This project has also allowed us to get out of our comfort zones, and on our 10-day trip, we got to visit Nevada, Arizona, Utah, New Mexico, and Colorado. And this also this also involves the sovereign Navajo Nations. When we were taken on this journey, we weren't expecting much, but however, the people we met along the way made it memorable.
The KidsBridge Project was about helping us learn and to bring awareness about how our actions and consumption affects other communities.
We specifically focused on the Navajo Nation and how energy corporations are exploiting the natural resources for capital at the expense of the Navajo community.
We are Academia Avance family. Our roots are from Latin America. We are the graduated class of 2021.
This presentation focuses on connecting cultures, listening and sharing stories, having self-reflection, and taking action.
We will now transfer to our next group, which will provide us about, what is the next one? Well, my experience throughout this trip really informed me about how the native tribes in the plateau are really affected by all the energy that is given to us. I feel really greedy by living a really lavish life, and it's helped me understand more to not take for granted the things that I receive every day. Hope everyone's doing well.
Hi, my name is Hannah. In this section of the presentation, we titled it Eyes on Us. Our group will be focusing on the similarities and differences between the Latinx community and the Native American tribes from the Four Corners.
Hello, good morning. My name is Bernabe. People have portrayed a false image on both communities. Native Americans of the Four Corners had to defend their land because their land has been taken away, and until this day, they are given the bare minimum to try to keep them satisfied. They have been portrayed as savages for protecting their own homes. Latinx people have also fought for similar battles by defending our dignity, by our former president labeling us as rapists, drug dealers, and murderers. No matter what we do or accommodate, both communities are still viewed as a minority. These labels continue to be present in our daily lives.
Hi, my name is Caitlin. Being family oriented is important to both communities. The elderly are praised and respected by the natives from the four corners. Wisdom and knowledge are passed down through storytelling and traditions. According to a member of the Hopi Nation whom we met at the Northern Arizona Museum said, it takes a village to raise a child. Similar to this idea, the Latinx community relies on the teachings from past generations. We are taught the ways of healing through teas, herbs, and foods.
Hello, my name is Anthony. Both communities joined the army to seek acceptance and respect from society. However, the same society they joined to protect demeans them and does not appreciate their service. Both Latinx and native tribes from the Four Points try to gain a higher ranking in the eyes of their family and communities. Regardless of their efforts, both groups face subjugation.
Hello, my name is Angel. Good morning. Latinx people in California take resources for granted. For instance, we have air conditioning, we take longer showers, and we have easy access to electronics. The Native American tribes of the Four Corners strive and praise their water and food, which is very sacred to them. They learn to value what Mother Earth has provided for them.
Hello, my name is Melanie. The Native Americans of the Four Corners have different priorities than the Latinx communities that live in urban cities. We don't have to look so far than ourselves. By weekly events, we choose to spend our money on things such as haircuts, nails, hair dyes, which are luxurious things that the Native Americans of the Four Corners cannot enjoy. They have been pushed to use all their funds to get daily essentials like clean water, food, crops, and to protect their livestock.
Hello, my name is Brenda. Good morning. Latinx people tend to celebrate the transition into adulthood by quinceañeras for the woman. The Latinx automatically earns the fiestas. On the other hand, the Navajo woman of the Four Corners transition to adulthood through a 4-day ceremony which teaches discipline, respect, and to value themselves.
Hello, my name is Ariel. For the Navajo men of the Four Corners, this transition teaches them to value women. Their tradition allows them to get a deeper connection through spirituality. For example, long hair helps build a stronger connection to Mother Earth. Unlike the Native Americans of the Four Corners, Latinx do not have the same connection to Mother Earth. Latinx formally believe in one God and in many saints.
Hello, my name is Jasmine, and this concludes our presentation. We'll be hearing from the next group.
Okay. This segment is about the power of storytelling. From the beginning of our journey, we started off from Highland Park and ventured off through the four corners of the Colorado Plateau, which include Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and Utah. We've networked with significant people and heard empowering stories from Native American veterans, the president of the Navajo Nation, and other well-rounded people who are well-rounded in the issues within their communities.
Hi, my name is Maria. One of the empowering stories that we'll hear along the way was James' story. James is a Navajo veteran and high school teacher who we met at a secret space called Spiral Rock. Spiral Rock is better known as Canyon de Chelly National Monument. is a vast canyon in Arizona that contains red and brown rock formations that differentiate it from other monuments. We met James and his 5 grandchildren while we were in Spiral Rock. A teacher sent a student to look for something, and the student ended up coming back with James, his grandchildren, and his stories. He introduced himself in the traditional way of the Navajo, saying his name, his parents' clans, and his grandparents' clans. A significant feature of James' identity is his long braided hair, which represents his indigenous connection to the land that we were standing on. Some of his grandchildren followed the tradition too, having long hair to represent themselves as Navajo. James was a strong man with great legs that made him a top contender in track, which gave him a scholarship to college. James' story was important because he recounted an untold story of how he was a person that went to college, got a high education, and then went to war to defend his country and get his warrior status. He told us about the land we were on, how he saved the Navajo from invaders that were taking away their lands and resources, and was the only place they could call home. He fought in Afghanistan, becoming a captain and seeing the horrors of the war. He saw his allies starting to give up, and as if they were part of his team, he put a hand on their shoulders and told them to stick with him if they wanted to return home. People blessed him, and he blessed his soldiers, just like our grandmothers and parents did to us when we started this trip. He respected the Mexica protocols on giving and receiving gifts, giving respect to the four directions. He had so much dedication to his beliefs. He believed him and his team would be safe in the war. James' dedication and commitment to his cultural beliefs is similar to our parents' belief in God. As such, when James returned to his homeland, he continued to practice his rituals and beliefs, running in the mornings until his lungs couldn't hold it anymore, teaching the ritual to his children and grandchildren. He also participated in sun dances, dancing for 4 days without eating or drinking, to show respect and admiration to the land of the Creator. To satisfy our curiosity, James decided to tell us the story of the Spider Rock name, how it was based on a telling of the Spider Lady that would take the bad Navajo children. And when people kill a spider, they will say, "Evil one, you have no heart." James is a man of tradition, commitment, and perseverance. No matter how hard things got, he was always there for his people, like how our parents sacrificed everything to emigrate to the US to give us a better opportunity.
Good morning. My name is Jordan. On day 2 of our trip, we were introduced to Roberto, who was building a hogan. A hogan is made of wood, rock, and mud, which the mud has a different material which makes it more sturdy. These sacred dwellings are used for ceremonies for puberty and marriage. This is where Roberto shared his many stories with us. Roberto talked about how he went to a 4-year university to higher his education and still came back to his community to preserve his culture. Him coming back to his community shows what kind of person he is. This shows that he is invested in restoring and keeping his culture and traditions alive. After college, he joined the Black Mesa Coalition to fight for water rights. It was important to Roberto because the Navajo Nation didn't have many representatives to defend the resources from big companies like Peabody. The economic injustice Native tribes faced is being exploited by big corporations who are looking for cheap resources. Another significant detail to Roberto's story is the compounding effect, the buildup of CO2 emissions from generations before. This affects our necessities like agriculture, fresh drinking water, and our livestock. If we don't change the way water is allocated, we will have an irreversible world issue. Thank you.
As the 10 days are ending, we have reflected on the many stories, but the stories of James and Roberto that they shared with us were the most important and impactful to us. It helped us visualize the bigger picture, that there is a need to defend our community and resources. Although Roberto's journey did not involve violence, they are both at war, fighting different battles. Violence, James fought for his country, while Roberto fought to keep his traditions alive and outdated water laws as the Black Mesa Coalition. That concludes our part of the presentation.
We will now hear from the other group, hypocrisy.
Oh, hello, my name is Sebastian, and our group is focusing on the formation of hypocrisy.
Hello, my name is Fran Escobar, and I created a poem. I wake up every morning, but I'm thirsty. Water. I open my window. It's raining. Water. I go out and I feel it on my face. Fresh, faithful, unlimited. I wake up. I'm thirsty. It feels hot and dry. I open my window. No water. I hear the people fighting. Why? They need water. I wake up, but I'm not thirsty anymore. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Jaylene. In my household, I was always told not to overuse power and water due to the huge amount of money we would have to use it for it. There were times I would abuse the source of water and power, but this trip made me realize how important your choices can affect innocent people.
Hello, good morning. My name is Catherine. Before this project, I was not conscious about the water and electricity I was wasting. The stories during the trip showed me how fortunate I am to have the ability of not worrying about the waste of water. We use water and power like it's nothing, while at the STAR school, they have to worry about filtering their own water and with the bus they made using their own money.
Hello and good morning. My name is Jack Garmas, and after coming on this trip, I don't regret coming at all. We as the class scouts to see the reality it meant when we received our power and water back home at Atlanta. The indigenous tribes we came across, like the Navajo tribe, had it way much worse than us when it came to water and power. Unlike them, we handsomely received clean and drinkable water as well as electricity. On the other hand, they had to deal with filtering their own water, that not to mention was contaminated with arsenic. So trying to even use it to consume became another problem they had to deal with. Knowing that knowing that I take long showers and use power when not needed opens my eyes to see how I was part of all these problems. And although I might not do much, I'm going to do my part and not take long showers and turn off the electronics when I'm not using them. And I highly recommend we all do the same.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kimberly. This trip was a real eye-opener for me because I was able to see how uneducated I was about communities that are similar to mine. I learned about many indigenous tribes, specifically the Navajo. I was able to connect to their culture and realize that we are not that different from each other as a Mexican descent. I was also able to reflect on how I take place in this huge issue and its hypocrisy. Before this trip, I would be careless of all the gifts that are handed to me, for example, water, electricity, and food. All these precious resources that I never took into consideration in my day-to-day life. I would consistently leave unnecessary water running. I would leave the lights on that were not needed. And I would be very picky with my food. All of these things that I'd be unappreciated about have now become very valuable things. After this trip, I was able to understand how blessed I am. I was able to see the hypocrisy between marginalized communities. We all, as communities that deal with different type of oppression, we should stand up for each other. We are all the same,
and we all share the same fight. So instead, we must come together. This trip, most importantly, left me with the significance of union. With union, we will be able to accomplish anything.
Good morning, my name is Jair. At home, we have no filter. By that, I mean as long as we have our necessities like water, food, and light, we are satisfied. But this trip seemed to really open my eyes. See, the Navajo Nation was affected by an invasion of land, resources, and culture. But what matters most is they're maintaining their composure. It hurts to hear that many families in the nation live in fear that the nation is decomposing. See, the land I roam is sacred, and although I'm just a tourist, I want to be a part of the movement that's going to make this land nourish. And with that, I leave you with this. Now that our 10-day adventure has come to an end, I want to continue this trend of empowering and enlightening, and reminding all of y'all to keep on fighting, because the cause isn't over, and our hopes of finding a 4-leaf clover is at an odd. We have to educate all these people who believe this was all a facade.
Hello, my name is Juan. These are the experiences that we have endured throughout the trip. And although we aren't the root of the problem, big corporations refuse to take action, or refuse to take responsibility for their wasteful practices.
You will now hear from our next group.
Yes, sir. All right. So, hello, we're the last group, and we'll be providing the call to action. The purpose of our group is to demand resolutions for previously identified situations such as water shortage, state coordination crisis, and outdated water laws.
Our solutions will include best practices to conserve water and energy and links to informational documents and funding campaigns. We will create and present one video that we will present on social media. Here is our video.
Hello, did you know that the native nations of Colorado Plateau are running out of water?
Over the last 100 years, power plants such as Peabody Coal Company in southwestern states have been taking their water, leaving them with leftover water which has uranium, arsenic, and lead, which is dangerous to people's health and leaves them in life-threatening conditions.
Their animals are dying and parents are worried about their children's future.
People from the Navajo and Hopi tribes are kind and share many similarities to our Latinx community. They have respect for the elders, they value hard work, and have a history of being undermined in the United States. We have to stand for them. We have to stand together.
What can we do? Conserve water and energy by taking shorter showers and disconnecting appliances when you're not using them. Write to your elected officials to demand that they address the needs of the native tribes of the Colorado Plateau.
Latinos stand with the plateau.
Latinas stand with the plateau.
Latinx stands with the plateau.
We all stand with the plateau.
The links we will provide will inform you with the struggles that the tribes in the plateau continue to face. Our links also direct you to the Navajo Nation's website and direct access to donations. One donation link will direct you to the Star School's GoFundMe page that we have set up that will inform you more about their mission. To briefly explain, the Star School's mission is to provide clean water to Native tribes that cannot receive it. Many Native families do not receive running water to their homes. The families that do receive water are not confident in drinking the water because of the taste and looks. Reasoning why is that the water contains toxic components that are harmful to the body, like arsenic, uranium, lead, and TDS. The Star School has made a project where they travel with the filtration system that families can use for temporary purposes and then they decide whether to keep the filtration system permanently. The STAR School's equipment is expensive to build and maintain, so we ask for any donations so the STAR School could continue to help many Native families receive more clean water. That concludes our project and presentations. We will now hear from the panel.
So let me welcome our panelists. We're still getting some folks on. And we have Norma Wisar, and she'll briefly tell you a little bit about herself and then maybe pose a question, and I'll just go in turn with the other panelists. Norma, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm currently living in Michigan. I stopped working about a year ago. I worked for a few nonprofits in the Detroit area, and I was an administrator there. One of them was they had a food pantry. The latest was I was their chief administrative officer. Did a lot of HR, the facilities, a lot of the operation piece, and prior to that, I was also with a different nonprofit that provided centralized programming in neighborhoods, and again, I did more of the administrative piece there. I stopped working last year. My husband's retired, so we are now working on other projects, but no longer with nonprofit. Anyway, my question is, I guess I wasn't as clear about what steps the students are going to take going back home in terms of what they're going to do. I know there's a GoFundMe page, but what wasn't clear was how our actions at home, or like your actions at home, are directly impacting the Navajo Nations. I guess California is also having water issues. So how can you? I'm not asking you to solve all the problems, but how are they? There's a lot of similarities there. What other direct actions will you take at home in your communities?
So Madison, I don't know if you heard the question, but what actions will you take at home? You think students can take at home?
Am I unmuted? A lot of the students were talking about their experiences and how the trip has really impacted our daily lives. And we were saying that it makes us realize that we have so much at home and that we shouldn't take things for granted, and that we realize that we've actually have taken a lot of things for granted and leaving the lights on, our air conditioning on for the whole day with the doors open when it's not even that hot in California. It's about how the lights on, like having water and it being able to shower for such a long duration of time, or drink water, or have that the luxury to live that life. So we've all decided to come to cut our usage in water and in power, and if we can donate to the STAR School so they can actually help more with the actual giving the tribes more water. So we've came to a decision of cutting down a lot of things that we used to abuse before.
I guess just a follow-up question. How do you reinforce this message with even your own families and within your own community? I just find it hard to do that with my family. I'm originally from Los Angeles, and most of my family's still there. But to try to reinforce some of these issues, will you go about your families and your community there?
I feel like it's very important for us to teach them or tell them about what we've experienced and how people live and how we've actually done a lot of research in reading all of this. A lot of our family members, I think, are also very strict with the water bills, electricity bills, because we're like minorities. A lot of us are, and we like have had problems with bills and stuff. So I feel like just explaining that we can be in that, we could have been in that position, or we that though that if we were still in our countries, we would have still been in that position, because a lot of the people still struggle with that in other countries as well. So I feel like us telling them our experience and us telling them to place to step in their shoes really helps us to like explain a really good, like, it just helps us really enforce something to our parents. I feel like our parents are now listening to us more since we're graduated, and they think well, we're more mature, or they think that we're more responsible. I feel like they just us enforcing them, us showing them proof, us showing them that we've learned something will actually help them, will actually make them think more about the things that we take for granted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norma. So I'm going to ask Dr. James to maybe quickly introduce himself and see if he has a questions for the students.
Engage. I'm going to say that again because I don't think my mic was on. Good morning and congratulations to all. It was a very engaging presentation. My name is Dr. Ellsworth James. I hail from the Apache Nation. I grew up in Indian country in the southeast of Alaska with the Tlingit people. I'm a social researcher. I wrote the theory on cultural genetics, or the impact of environment on epigenetics. And I work here in Los Angeles with the nonprofit El Proyecto del Barrio here in the Work Center in Sun Valley. My question is that the saddest words said in retrospect are, "I didn't know." What I would like to ask is, how will the experiences and the knowledge that you've learned in this cultural exchange affect your individual lives going forward?
I feel like after experiencing the whole the trip and learning about how the tribes don't receive the water, or like the we just it's you build a guilty conscience after experiencing everything. So I feel like just experiencing it makes you feel guilty and abusing all of the things you have. So it's like we've learned from this, I guess, and we can take from it, and we can actually like take this home and know behind the scenes, like what actually happens, like how we get this water and how they don't. It's just a learning experience. It's guilty conscious, yeah, and it's just it'll stick with me. It will stick with all of us throughout our whole lives, because in the back of our heads we will have that thought that says, or that voice that says, wow, like you're running all this water and these tribes don't have that water. Turn it off.
To also kind of add on to that question, I would say I can't really so what we learned on this trip, I guess it teaches one of us individually a different experience, a different lesson. Just like every lesson it teaches, we all take it in a different way. We hear what we want, right? So I feel like for me personally, I feel like I'm taking this back home, and I feel like I will kind of just take this as a way of just symbolizing what the true meaning of a blessing is, because like you've heard the testimonies from many people, they're having water is literally a blessing to have, and to hear that this community, to hear that this plateau is day by day losing water, drip by drip, is heartbreaking. So I feel like for me and my group, I can say that we've all learned something that's touched our hearts, and we just wanted to create this platform to express this all to you guys. And I just want to thank you guys for listening to us.
Listening to, I feel also to add on to that, like we can take this home because we've actually heard from real people that have been affected by not having running water. It's not just we're reading an article or we're just reading off of someone else, off of someone else's on the internet. We've actually heard of this in person, and we've heard that like it's affecting their tribes, it's affecting their food source, and it's affecting the way they live in a normal day life. So I feel like it's hearing from real people from like in person, it gives us that reality check, knowing that we do take a lot of things for granted and that we shouldn't, because people that we've seen in real life are actually getting affected.
Cool. Can everybody hear me? Yep. Hey. Thank you, Dr. James. Hi, everybody. My name is Adrian Hightower, former professor at Harvey Mudd College, former professor at Occidental College. Now I work with the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. Thank you for inviting me to this panel. I'm excited by what I've heard and your enthusiasm. And I think my one question is, after all that you've learned and experienced and heard, do you have a new appreciation for numbers? I think you've heard lots of stories of limited access to resources, of potential water quality issues and contamination. And my question is, did you notice the numbers? I think again and again you will see the story of people trying to sell you 10 dimes for 5 quarters. And whether that's measured in acre feet or concentration of arsenic, do you have a new appreciation for numbers? That's the simple question.
For me, after what we've learned and the conversation I had with you, Mr. Agent Hightower, yesterday, I feel like I do have a new appreciation for numbers. So, and to elaborate on that, we were supposed to visit the Hoover Dam, which is like about a mile down, and we've learned that the dam has been its lowest it's ever been, and with that, you know, that just already tells you that communities like this is already like or communities like this are already at its lowest, and for us we take it as a way of just like having water. We don't really appreciate it, like we said. So I feel like for me, yes, showing appreciation to the numbers is really important.
I have grown with I feel like I've gotten an appreciation for numbers because of the actual fact check of it all. So having numbers makes people realize that it's actually happening and it's a real problem. I feel like having that, like, it's a lot of people don't think it's right, it's not true, or it's false, or they're just trying to pinpoint on the companies because they want to take it out, or I feel like having those numbers reassures people that it's true, and it affects a lot of us and affects a lot of the people, and it's just it's important to have those numbers and grow with them. I feel appreciated by the numbers, yeah.
And to add on really quickly, the sad reality is many people really don't care about the numbers, right? Which is the truth, and it's sad to say, but like people say, numbers don't lie, people do. So we can preach about this. We can talk about how these communities and are living like this, and we can talk about the water is like literally evaporating in the air, missing. But without numbers, we really wouldn't have an argument to talk about. So that's why we were very appreciative about the numbers.
I think that was very insightful. Thank you. I think the numbers will tell you where to go, but you're right. They don't inspire the action. But you all do. Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You can now hear from Rachel Villalobos.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm sorry, I came in a little bit late, but I did catch the tail end. And I think based on what Adrian was asking, I'm not gonna follow up on that, but I think it was very insightful what he said. I think that for me, are you guys able to hear me? There was some feedback. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me? Yes. Okay. So I think that for what I like to know from this experience. Okay, great. Thank you. From this experience for all of you, and I want you to take a few seconds to kind of organize the thought on the big picture, right? So everyone's perception is their reality. All three of you, for example, saw, quote unquote, the same thing, but you internalize it in a different manner. I would like to hear from each one of you three standing in front of us and tell us, or me, I'm not sure how many people are on the screen at this time, take a minute to think about how has this impacted you, and knowing everything that you have learned, you're going through this cycle, right? Of wow, this is reality for them. Wow, I didn't know this. Wow, I don't know how good or better I have it. You're going through all of those cycles. I want you to take a minute and think about what you have already, experienced. You've processed somewhat. Can you share what is it that you are planning to do when you get back home?
Sorry, Miss, but we're kind of experiencing some slight delays, but I'll share my experience. Honestly, for this trip, I was kind of excited to come to find out, to learn about the Navajos and all the people that live here. And from two stories that I could share is every time when we would drive by the res, I would see all these houses and they're so isolated from everybody. And I always ask myself like how's life out here? And I was actually fortunate enough to ask that question to a vendor in the swap meet and I asked him like, how's life out here? And his response was that he loves it out here, like it's his home. And I took into realization that it is their home and it's the only thing that they have. It's their sacred land, and like they like to call it the motherland and stuff like that. So I feel like that's something that I learned about them, that they really appreciate what they have left after all the oppression they've been through. And there's like a little negative side to it that I experienced. We're in New Mexico in the gas station, and some guy asked me like, "Hey, where are you guys from?" And I told him I was from Los Angeles, and I told him what we're out here doing. I told him we're out here trying to learn from the Navajos and things like that. And there's actually there's a lady who seemed a bit offended by what we were doing, and she was telling us like, we need permissions and we need all this. It's not right to come like this, like out of nowhere. So I feel like there's people out here that really appreciated us being out here trying to learn, but there's also those little slight little people that didn't really want us to be here because this is all they have left, and it's like we're foreigners coming from the outside to their home. So I feel like they didn't feel right and appreciated. So those are my experiences from that I got. I'm gonna take home.
Thank you. So, yeah, so thank you for sharing your experiences. Would it be possible to share your experiences, and then what is it that you're going to do when you come back home with that? How's that impacted you where you're going to do something different?
Honestly, it's kind of like a tough question because like from my experiences over there, I mean from the experience that I got, honestly, I would take home is it's kind of tough. The way that the guy told me how this is their motherland, I'm gonna take that back home because it is true. Like we went to Spider Rock, and they really love like all the nature that's around here and stuff like that. So I feel like I would start appreciating more nature because, like they said, this is our motherland and we gotta protect it because this is our home for not only us but for future generations.
Thank you.
Let's turn to another. See if they have a question next report. Or we can answer a question next report.
They're ready to answer.
See if they have a question next report.
Well, I'll answer your question, Rachel Villalobos. I think one thing that impacted me was seeing it firsthand, because it's like we could, like, I don't know if they said it previously, we could read it through books, but once you see it in like hand, it really like touches the heart, and it makes you realize like, wow, I really do have the luxury of having this and that when people are over here struggling just to make just to get clean water and stuff like that. And I think we really took that I took that for advantage. And this, what I would be taking home to me is learning on how to be grateful for the little things, and helping the people in my community, especially my family, to be educated so they would learn what I learned throughout the trip, and they could also fix the errors that we have done throughout the time that I did not know about what we have learned through the trip for KidsBridge.
I would like to add on to that. So honestly, from this trip, what I took was stepping out of my comfort zone, because I live in a place where I'm used to seeing many people like me from my culture, and it's not very diverse. And stepping out of that world, and seeing different things, like it really impacted me. So I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm taking home. It's like step out of your comfort zone, learn about different communities, and try to figure out how to help them in whatever ways we can. Because even though they are different, at the same time they're very similar to us. So yeah.
For my experience, I think on the side of going to new places and just being an eye opener to many struggles that many others experience. I like my previous partner said, I took many things for granted, and I think now I can go back home and not only educate my parents but also the younger generation, which is like my little sister, and start teaching her that there's people out there who struggle with their basic life resources, which shouldn't happen. But I think I'm gonna start educating the younger generation so they can impact, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together.
Very nice. Thank you. I'm not sure if there's somebody else that'd like to share, but if I can, maybe ask for you to carry some sort of journal, because here's the thing: when we experience something, right? If we don't continue with it, then we sometimes the momentum gets lost. And you are all really young, in which I think that if you can, sometime today, on a piece of paper or napkin or whatever you have, available to you, to write down what did you see, how did you feel about it, and what do you want to do? Because there's so many things that you may have captured, like 15% of the homes don't have the right, kitchen situation, water stuff. 90,000, people are homeless, right, within that nation. We have so many numbers that we can look at, but what is it that you're going to do to be able to put your grain of salt, right, your grain of sand, to improve what you saw, what you felt? Because there's so many things that you can do with what you have observed and what you've gone through in these couple of days, right, on your observations. So how is that going to impact you, and what are you going to do? And this idea that you may have, as you continue to write on it daily, will help you to better develop it, right? And as you're growing and going to school, you don't leave this, and it may impact what you study in college, what you do as a job, all of how you will, we all pass some sort of judgment when we see something. That's just nature, right? Whether it's good or bad, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that's how we've survived humanity, right? Is this dangerous? Is this not? So in the next time, taking this huge experience that you have endured by going to this part of the world, what how can you continue to develop what you felt, what you've thought of in conversations, maybe just not with your peers, but with parents, like you said, with the perspectives of the little ones, of just all of those around you. If you're able to just continue to develop that, that would be great.
Oh, I think one way we could continue to learn is continuously going to like new places where we could get educated on newer things, and continuing to be like open-minded and having what did you say about where you're taking from the trip? Getting out of
my comfort zone.
Getting out of your comfort zone to be able to be like, oh, I went there and I'm being educated, so now I could go back to my community and educate more people. And I think it just goes back to being well educated, because if you're well educated about all the things that has happened, then you will be able to help numerous amount of people. And then like it would be more knowledgeable that people will know because of what you learn, because it's being passed down and it's being passed down. So I think that would be a great way to.
Thank you. I think that was enough from me. Maybe hearing from someone else, but you guys are amazing.
Thank you. I think that was enough from me. Maybe hearing from someone else, but you guys are amazing.
Thank you. We will now hear from the other panel.
Dr. Charles Clay, and I'm a former professor, and I'm a consultant now. And I really enjoyed your presentation. I actually took notes in terms of a lecture that I would give. And the lecture is a model of awareness, a model of awareness. And it contains 4 parts. Awareness, which you certainly made us aware of today in terms of the experiences and what you've seen and that sort of thing. Analysis, you've analyzed the difference of how you live, what you see, how other people live, etc. Then we get to change, and you see the things that you feel should be changed or because of the needs, this sort of thing. And the most important is creativity. Creativity, awareness, analysis, change, creativity. Now, in terms of describing the problems and this sort of thing, creativity is very, very important to us, especially when we talk about the water situation, okay? Creatively, how can we, and I'm including myself with you, how can we do something about this water situation? Okay, fresh water, clean water, and like that, because we all know you can't survive without water. And I'm talking about what types of creative efforts can be put into this. We have the awareness now. Are there companies that can say, hey, we can truck in this much water a week? Are there other types of vehicles in terms of, I think you gave a website to raise money and this sort of thing, but various types of creative ways to meet the conditions that you've already described. And so I want you to really think about, okay, we have an awareness, we have an analysis, we know we need to see change in these situations, but now your minds can run free in terms of being creative. And one of the ways you can be very creative is through CCA, a comparison, a contrast, and analysis. And that is finding out or looking up other people or nations that's been in this situation or that are in this situation and see creatively how are they dealing with it. Creatively, what are they doing? What can I take, and looking around, what can I take and see will it fit to help this particular situation? And your minds can run wild with creativity. And I think that's real good. And so I want you to just please keep that in mind, because you really educated me. I'm thinking here also the Flint situation in Michigan in the United States, where with the water type situation. And one of the things is a lot of bottled water from water companies are going into that situation while, the politics and all that sort of thing going on. But I want to really commend you. I think it's outstanding what you're doing. And just think about not only the awareness, but the change and the creativity, and let your minds run wild. And you get that creativity through brainstorming. Perhaps you as a group might want to start brainstorming about creativity in terms of meeting this need. And I'm concentrating on the water, although there are other types of needs and from what you've seen and like that. So, congratulations. And I think it's outstanding, and you've done an outstanding job. Thank you. Can you still hear me? Okay, I wasn't posing a question to you. I'm just saying expand your minds, and especially with the creativity. I mean, you know, your minds, but one of the ways with the creativity, see what others are doing with the same types of situations, and then creatively, what can you do in terms of, you know, bringing in companies and writing letters and people making donations, writing grants and this sort of thing, and also helping the people be able to help themselves. So I'm not really asking you a question. I'm more or less making a statement in support of what you have done and what you know will be doing. And not only for this situation, keep this model of awareness for the rest of your life. It's something that you can use all your life. Awareness, analysis, change, creativity. Remember those four things. I used to give a lecture at USC, and this was one of the lectures I'd give. A model of awareness, analysis, change, creativity. So I'm through, but thank you.
Thank you very much. We will continue using your feedback, and we will now hear from the next panel.
Thank you.
We will now hear from Rob from Michigan. Bob? Sorry. Thank you, Clay, Dr. Clay.
Wrenching, if you will. So the second thing that I wanted to say, and there's no question that is applied to this, this is a difficult thing to do, is to get up and talk in front of a group like this and to do a presentation. It's a great opportunity. It's one of the most persuasive ways to build support for something. And I think all of you did a wonderful job today. You should be proud of yourselves. I know there was probably a lot of nervousness involved, but you do need to commend yourself for taking the opportunity to do this and actually having the opportunity to do this as well. And to that end, you know, when this is all over, if you could thank Ricardo, I think that would be definitely in order. That's all I had to say. Thank you so much for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bob.
Thank you.
We'll now hear from Mark.
Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. So thank you so much. Speaking from those of us on the Navajo Nation, I really want to express our appreciation for your compassion and your sincere interest in helping to do something about our water challenges out here, as well as your interest in modifying your own behavior when it comes to water. I think, like some of you have said, it's important to recognize that the water challenges facing Navajos here doesn't mean that life isn't good, because we are on the sacred homeland, and life is good in many ways. But I have two questions, actually. One is, like some of you have mentioned, that your experience on the Navajo Nation got you thinking about your original country, and maybe your parents, your grandparents, your uncles, your aunts might be facing the same situation, and you might be facing the same situation if you were still in the home countries. And I wondered if you've thought about how you would talk to your parents and your grandparents about what you've learned based on that. And the second question is, what are your thoughts about the Navajo people facing many challenges with water and yet having the sense of empowerment to do something to solve those problems? Like Dr. Clay mentioned, you know, our water filtration system would actually work with the situation in Flint. So what do you think about that? Having these big challenges and yet having a sense of empowerment. Do you feel that way?
Okay, so how I feel about what's going on with like the Navajo people and the water resource, to me personally, I think it's very dehumanizing because I think every person in this world should have the right to the basic needs of the resources of life, which is water, food, and it's just, to me, it was very like, I guess, it was breathtaking that they are suffering that, and it's like it's affecting their resources, and I guess like their upcoming generations are still constantly living that. We saw that with James. He still has his grandkids, and they're living through that at such a young age. To me, I just think it's very breathtaking.
I think to add on to what my friend was saying is that it's sad for me to be hearing this, because at the end of the day it is their land and it is their water. So for them not to receive like their basic needs is very, how she said, dehumanizing. So I think like everybody should be allowed to get their basic needs of what they need. Yeah, because at the end of the day, like I said, it's their land and it's their water.
Oh, well, to add on to what she said, I think it's more like it's very hypocritical that their land was given back to them, but without those resources that they really need for basic life, yeah, for survival.
To add on to that, what my classmates are saying, I feel like the sense of empowerment is something great. It's something good that we can actually make a difference and we can actually contribute to the difference. And like, we can actually continue on and like talk to Native youth so we can come together and actually come with an agreement so we can actually fix more of the problems. So the sense of empowerment in the youth is like, it's something that impacts a lot of people, and just having the ability to actually having like the sense of like we can actually do something, knowing that we can actually do something is very empowering, because in other countries, like he was saying, that some of our parents relate to not having power or water, and back in our countries we can't, none of the youth over there can do anything. We can't do anything over there because it's different. It's a different government. It's under a different system. It's different because it's much more dangerous out there, and it's more difficult to do these things. So us knowing that we can do and we can make a difference easily, well, not easily, but knowing we can, just having the thought or the chance to, is very empowering, and it's very like uniting that we have a bunch of like youth saying something or doing it.
To add on to that, I feel like for me the way we could do something about it is really just educating people. Before this trip, we were all ignorant. We were all uneducated about the issues here, and really just educating the youth and creating some type of collaboration with the teachers and the youth, creating this one whole I guess you can say program or coalitions just to help, not because in reality, the reality is we can't fix the water problem, but we can help the water problem. And by that, I mean like we can't solve all prayers, but um, we can at least do something about it, you know. So our conscience will feel okay, and we won't feel like we're just letting our people die on their own. And I feel like the most powerful thing is just realizing that our communities are in danger and taking action. Let's hear from Ariel.
I'd like to add on to what Madison said. She said that we could get stuff done, and I think throughout this pandemic, we really noticed that if the youth and the generation would really put their mind to it, we can get stuff done. Because I feel like you've seen the movements that have been happening. So I said I think that if we really want to, and if we really put our power and our voice to it, then we can get stuff done and bring more attention to the problems that are happening to the people in the Colorado Plateau.
Now we will hear from our last panelist, Hector Pacheco. Perez Pacheco, sorry.
Great, thank you for having me. My name is Hector Perez Pacheco. I am a Quechua native from the Confederation THU. My people are from South America. I'm South American Indian. But I was born here and I grew up here, and I have my own business. I do consulting. I do government relations, public relations, strategic planning, and advocacy and policy, developing legislation. We were successful. I have been successful in developing legislation at all levels of government, from city, county, state, and federal. So that's my background. I have my own firm, and we're very much involved in making changes. But I started my work. I started my path similar to all of you. Just drawing an interest in my environment, in where I live, and in the community that I am a part of. And at an early age, I felt that the world needs to be at a different point, at a different place. So I have dedicated my life to helping the community. In my language, in Quechua, we refer to a responsibility that we all have as people, is that our responsibility is to provide our energy to helping what we call the four circles: yourself, your family, your community, and other communities, and work. And we also believe that when you come to this earth, you come here for a purpose. You come from the Star Nation here for a purpose, and you have to live and fulfill your purpose. Given what your experience and what have you seen, within the different communities and the places that you've been to, what would be you consider now your purpose? Maybe it has changed, or maybe it's the same, or maybe you find yourself finding that you need to do something else. Maybe if I could have every one of you maybe say a few words regards to that. Last thing I want to mention is I've been to Navajo country. I've been to Dene country. I've helped out with the Big Mountain effort 20 years ago, and it's a beautiful country, beautiful place, beautiful people. So I'll leave you with that question. What do you feel, given your experience that you just went through? How does this going to help you fulfill your purpose? And being that you're starting your journey in making a difference.
I think for me, my purpose is to gain knowledge. This way, not only the knowledge is going to benefit me, but it's going to benefit the other people that I can educate. And just going to college is it's gonna help me more of a purpose to go back to my community and just give back the knowledge that I was able to gain. And as well as in the workplace, that wherever I choose to work, I can educate those people in my work area.
Adding on what she said, I think knowledge is being knowledgeable of everything is very powerful, because at the end of the day, if you're educated, being educated makes you powerful. So it just makes you, it allows you to teach other people. And like how she said, I feel like in whatever work area I decide to take, I will be able to educate and be able to advocate for the people like that look like me and you. And I feel like yeah.
I mean, my purpose has always been to help people, whether it is in the medical field or anything. I'm very indecisive, but I know that my purpose is to help, especially people that look like me, as she said. And I know that, gaining more knowledge is always going to help me, how she said, advocate and help out the people that really need help.
Great. Now, what did you learn? What was? Oh, go ahead. Is there anybody else?
I would like to share. So basically, from this trip, honestly, I feel like I want to keep on doing more of these type of movements and projects. And for the next 4 years, I'm gonna be attending UC Merced. So I feel like if there's any type of programs or anything that are similar to like our project, I would be like interested to join. Especially since I know that up in like NorCal and stuff like that, there's like Hispanics and people like us. So I would like to help, our community and all those people that work in the fields and are paid like below the wage, the regular wage and stuff like that. So that's something that definitely opened my mind, just to like start helping my community more and more and be involved in projects.
I feel like it's really helped me open my eyes into thinking that I can actually make a difference in anyone's life, and there's a lot of problems around the world and around our community as well that we can actually contribute in helping. So I feel like this has opened our eyes into thinking that we can make a difference and we can change things, So for me, I think moving on forward in my life, I feel is like kind of my purpose to continue and contributing and helping communities and helping a lot of people that are struggling because of the way the government handles things, and it's just I feel very empowered to actually make a difference. So continuing with my life and continuing into helping with many problems as well. Yeah. That is the end of our presentation, and thank you very so much for joining our presentation. Thank you for all the panelists and the viewers. That is all for our KidsBridge presentation.